Hey, good evening. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Gadi Schwartz coming to you from Miami tonight. And here's some of the stories we are watching right now, starting with some disturbing video of an L.A. sheriff's deputy punching a mother in the face while she's holding her baby.
I let it go! You're breaking it, leg, bro! Hey, get this over quick! Y'all punch me, bro!
And that all started as a routine traffic stop. Now the case is being investigated by the FBI. And that show-stopping, all-out actor strike is now fully underway in Hollywood as over 100,000 artists head to the picket line.
At some point, the jig is up. You cannot keep being dwindled and marginalized and disrespected and dishonored.
And the first over-the-counter birth control pill has been approved in the United States, but when will it be available and how much is it going to cost? And the Secret Service closes the investigation into that cocaine found at the White House, why critics say the findings are embarrassing.
This was a failure of this investigation to not perform a drug test on these people.
In Los Angeles, new body cam footage has just been released by the LA County Sheriff, and it is causing a storm of controversy. But here's the thing. This is all coming out a full year after this disturbing traffic stop. Now, Sheriff Robert Luna said the video shows a deputy punching a woman twice in the face while she was holding a 3-week-old baby. We're going to play part of that video, but a quick warning, what you're about to see and hear might be hard to watch.
You're breaking it, leg, bro! Hey, get this over quick!
Now, again, here's where the punch comes in. It happens quick. In the top left of the screen, you can see the deputy throwing 2 quick punches. In another video, it looks like what could be another woman is also arguing with deputies trying to take a baby. You can hear that child crying and the mother pleading with deputies.
Please, let me hold on to it for 2 more minutes, please. Please, 2 more minutes. No. 2 more minutes.
And we should note that the LA Sheriff's Department blurred and edited those videos before we got them. The case has been referred to the district attorney as well as the FBI. Steve Patterson is out in LA. Steve, this is all coming out a year later. This happened last July. Why are we just now hearing about it?
Yeah, got it almost exactly a year, July 14th, 2022. It's for a couple of reasons. The primary one, is that the sheriff now was not the sheriff then. Sheriff Luna, the current sheriff, says he just learned about this maybe a few days ago or so and took immediate action, putting this body cam footage out to the public, out to the press, wanted to have, sort of a cloud of authenticity and make sure that they had accountability. But he didn't know about this, according to him, until now, was informed by a station chief there in Palmdale and immediately took action. Gadi.
What was the original traffic stop about?
Yeah, so they're in Palmdale. This is the station there. They pull a car over that doesn't have its lights on, so it's at night. They smell a strong smell of alcohol. They pull over the driver. They arrest the driver on suspicion of driving with a suspended license, on top of driving under the influence. In the back, there are 4 women and 3 infants. None of those infants are in a child seat, which is part of the law in California. So they had a responsibility to pull this car over. It is unsafe for those kids to be back there, according to the sheriff, and based upon what we know. But then, of course, as you see in the video, as they pull the women out of the car and try to wrestle their children away, that is where Sheriff Luna is calling this part of a disturbing case, and now one that is going to go on to a federal investigation and possibly the DA's office for a criminal investigation. Gadi?
It's kind of hard to see everything that's going on based on the video that's been released so far. Are there other camera angles or any other missing footage that could be released in this case soon?
Yeah, and Gadi, it bears repeating that the footage that was given to us was edited. It was given to us in a certain time frame that they wanted us to see. That's not to say that they're trying to hide anything, of course, but this is the footage that we were given. It is one perspective from appearing to be one deputy, and you can tell there are several deputies on scene, so you can imagine, per protocol, that's at least another one of them would have had their body camera running, maybe even the officer that struck that woman damage. So, of course, there should be more video evidence out there. We live in a society where there are security cameras on every corner. There must be more footage out there. The problem, and part of this goes alongside the timeline, because there has been an internal investigation, but we don't know for how long, is that there are laws precluding the release of information about an officer during a use of force incident in California. It is very difficult to get information. In fact, the sheriff tells us that he's not allowed to tell us what other penalties may be facing the other deputies. That may come alongside, of course, the federal investigation, maybe alongside the criminal investigation. Maybe there is a civil suit from these women who were removed from the car, their babies removed from them. But until we get that information, we simply don't know. And we won't know if there's another perspective unless that information just comes out. Gadi?
Yeah. And it is odd. Sometimes we see video, sometimes we don't. Steve Patterson, thanks so much.
Thanks.
And tonight, the union that represents a whopping 160,000 actors is officially going on strike. This is how SAG-AFTRA President Fran Drescher explained it in a fiery speech earlier today.
Because at some point, the jig is up. You cannot keep being dwindled and marginalized and disrespected and dishonored. I am shocked by the way the people that we have been in business with are treating us. I cannot believe it, quite frankly. How far apart we are on so many things. How they plead poverty, that they're losing money left and right when giving hundreds of millions of dollars to their CEOs.
Now, the actors, they're going to be joining the 11,000 writers that are already on the picket line. And this makes it the first time in more than 60 years that Hollywood is facing a double strike. And joining us now is NBC's Dana Griffin. So, Dana, the strike is here. It looks like the heels are definitely digging in. What happens next?
Well, it's kind of a wait-and-see game. The SAG-AFTRA president, Fran Drescher, who you just heard, said that she is willing to go back to the negotiating table as soon as tonight. But we spoke with Dominic Patton with Deadline. He has been doing some phenomenal reporting on this. He's really tied into the industry. He says, based on the conversations he's had with a lot of these studio executives, that they are trying to hold out until October. So it could be several weeks, if not months, before we see a deal on the table. Until then, production is going to pretty much come to a halt for some productions that are continuing on. A lot were halted when the writers went on strike. So this is only going to postpone a lot of those shows that we are anticipating and movies. Gadi?
October. It sounds almost like trench warfare on both sides there. This morning, Disney's CEO Bob Iger was on CNBC. He touched a little bit on the strike. Let's take a quick listen to that.
There's a level of expectation that they have that is just not realistic. And they are adding to a set of challenges that this business is already facing that is, quite frankly, very disruptive.
So they're not being realistic?
No, they're not.
Dana, specifically, do we know what he's talking about there?
So he's referring to the actors union. He believes that they are asking for things that are just not going to happen in the current climate of the industry. He added that he thinks that he respects their right to desire and to get as much as they possibly can for the people that are represented by this union. But he says that it's the worst time in the world to add to the disruptions because the industry is already trying to bounce back from the pandemic. And with the writer's strike putting a lot of productions on halt, they're concerned that this is only going to make the industry more vulnerable.
And today we saw the cast of Oppenheimer walk out of the UK premiere in solidarity with this strike. We should also point out that that film is distributed by our parent company, NBC Universal. But moving forward, what else should we expect to see? Are these walkouts no press for any actors, the Emmys up in the air? What's going to happen next?
So you can expect to see a lot, maybe thousands of actors likely on the picket lines joining writers starting tomorrow morning. They're going to hit up Netflix, Warner Brothers, Discovery, even outside our own studios here at NBC Universal. And yeah, so we're going to see a lot of those productions put on pause. The 75th Primetime Emmy Awards may be postponed to next year. Right now they're slated for September 18th. But this could really upend the entire award season. And we're just going to see a lot more, actors out there trying to stand in solidarity with everyone else to say we are not going to budge until we get what they believe is a fair deal, considering what all they do for this industry. And it, again, Gadi, is going to be a wait-and-see game to see who budges and who comes to a compromise. But it's likely that they will come to a compromise. The question is, how long will that take?
And now we watch and we wait. NBC's Dana Griffith. Thanks so much. And the forecast isn't getting any better for the Southwest. There is a massive dome of heat just sitting on top of cities like Phoenix and Las Vegas. The Valley of the Sun could hit 114 degrees tomorrow, and the low this morning, 95 degrees. That was the low. Oof. Marissa Parra is in Phoenix right now, and she tweeted this out a little bit earlier from the Salvation Army, heat relief bag, which includes electrolytes, water jugs, sunscreen. People are doing whatever they can to stay cool, including Marissa, who is outside right now. Marissa, I'm sorry. It looks like you're under a little bit of shade. I don't know what photographer you're with, but they clearly like you more than they like me, because every time I'm outside, it's just, they're like, sorry, deal with the sun, bro. Arizona is used to these scorching summers, right? What are people saying about this heat wave?
Yeah, so the interesting thing, you kind of nailed it on the head. I mean, it's no surprise Phoenix gets hot in the summer. They're used to that. But when I speak to people who work at the Salvation Army, in particular, I think their response to me has been pretty striking, because what they've said is they're just not used to it being this hot for this long, this early in the summer. And so they were talking about how they've had to extend their hours. They're now opening up their doors because they also serve as a cooling shelter, the one that I visited not that long ago. They've extended their hours to go through the weekend. They're open longer throughout the day. And they said that normally they don't do this until several weeks from now. But obviously, when you have people who either don't have access to air conditioning at all, maybe people without homes, or maybe you have people who do have air conditioning. But, you know, our NBC crews have spoken to people who have one air conditioning unit, just one, and it's small and it's low powered. And when our crews went inside, they said it still felt so hot that it was at some points just so unbearable and uncomfortable. So, Gadi, one thing that was interesting as well is, you know, I spoke to the fire department over the phone, and they were pretty confident, which is what you want from a fire department, right? These are the guys in charge of rescues and in charge of addressing these heat-related calls, which they are in the thick of right now. And they said that they expect these upticks in calls. But one thing that even they were nervous about, and again, I find very striking, is as much confidence as they have right now that they can address what happens today, what happens tomorrow. They said that looking ahead to the weekend, where we're expected to see temperatures rise by several degrees, it's about 111 right now. We're expected to see 118 degrees this weekend. They said even that makes them a little bit nervous, because it's already been busy. And they said it's been busy for about 2 weeks since we've seen these 110 degree plus temperatures, and it's only going to get busier this weekend, Gadi.
118 degrees, yikes. I do want to ask you about this study, which takes a look at how their power outages during heat waves and how they can affect cities like Phoenix. What did researchers find?
Yeah, so that was a study that was put out in May by Environmental and Science Technology. And if you take a look, what I find really interesting is they looked at cities across the country. What would happen? What do they project would happen if there was a combination blackout during a heat wave? And unfortunately, what they found in their study points to it would be catastrophic here in Phoenix. I want to read you a direct quote from this study that it looks like the heat-related deaths would more than double. And those requiring medical attention, it would be more than 50% of the urban population of Phoenix. And that is something that would strike here so much, because this is a city that relies on its electrical grid. The people here rely on their air conditioning a whole lot more than the rest of the country, according to this study, according to their findings. The good news, Gadi, is that the electrical grid has so far proven to be reliable here in Phoenix. But again, as climate change scientists have been warning, as we start to see these seasons ramp up earlier, lasting longer, and these temperatures rising even hotter than we've seen, breaking records, which we have seen for the last several weeks, Gadi, they do warn that it is going to put a strain on the system as it is right now. And they fear, you know, if we don't start putting plans in place, we could see that tested in a way that would be catastrophic in other places. But so far, that has not happened here in Phoenix. We have those cooling shelters. People really really staying outside, staying away from being outside as much as they can. It really seems like a ghost town on these streets. This playground behind me not getting any use. People who can be inside really doing so however they can.
Wow, one power outage away from an absolute catastrophe. That's terrifying. Yeah. Marissa Parra, thanks so much. Meanwhile, over in Vermont, it has started to rain again, with flash flood warnings back in effect in some areas, and officials are warning people to stay off the roads, not just today, but through the weekend.
So Vermonters need to pay attention to the weather reporting today and plan ahead. I want to reiterate, this isn't over, and it won't be over after this storm. On Sunday, unfortunately, there's another chance for heavy rain statewide.
We're not sure how this current round of rains is going to impact already damaged roads and buildings. Hopefully it won't, but people have been taking advantage of the last 2 days to clean up damage to homes and businesses, salvaging whatever they can. But a lot of people say they still have a long way to go.
It's pretty rough. I definitely haven't seen it like this. Irene was not anywhere near as bad as this, from what I remember anyways.
Well, this community means a lot to me, and I just think that it's heartwarming to see everybody showing up to help, but we've got a long road to go.
Best of people and the worst of times. Some of the damage is so severe that it could take quite a long time to rebuild there. And this is what happened in the basement of the City Hall in Montpelier. And that's what it looks like. City officials say cleaning that level of hazardous floodwater is going to take something like months. And here's one in the inn of the city of Hardwick. It is completely destroyed. There's literally nothing left there. Take a look at what the owner showed us. She not only lost her business, but her apartment as well.
This was our front door. This was our lobby.
Wow, there is nothing
which we had
left here.
Completely revamped. And then beyond the lobby was the office and laundry room. And beyond that was a large workshop filled with my husband's tools, stuffed with my husband's tools.
I mean, imagine opening the door and the river is right there. Incredible. NBC's Kristen Dahlgren has more from Vermont.
Hey there, well, this is exactly what they've been worried about. Heavy rain coming down on top of already swollen rivers and creeks. The next few hours are going to be critical. Flash floods are the biggest concern, and those are so hard to predict. It really just depends on how much rain comes down in an area and how saturated the ground already is. The governor warning everybody to take heed of the warnings, to stay inside during the thick of it. Swiftwater rescue teams are in place, as they have been all week, doing these rescues, ready in case anybody needs rescuing as we go through the overnight hours tonight. And they continue to monitor the dams here in Vermont. They are not expected to overtop, but they are watching them in real time. So some tense hours here and more bad weather on the way as we go through the next few days. Back to you.
Can't catch a break. Kristen Dahlgren, thanks so much. Now, access to contraceptions is about to get a lot easier for women. The FDA just approved the very first over-the-counter birth control in the United States. And we've got those details coming up next, so stay tuned. Hey there, welcome back. And here are some of the other headlines we're watching tonight. A jury has decided that the Pittsburgh synagogue mass shooter is eligible for the death penalty. Now, they reached their decision after deliberating for about 2 hours. Last month, he was found guilty of killing 11 worshipers back in 2018. The man accused of killing a hand and wrist surgeon at a doctor's office in Tennessee was arraigned today, and police now think 29-year-old Larry Pickens was a long-term patient of that clinic. His motive for shooting Dr. Benjamin Mock is still unclear. And here in Florida, a wildlife center says they lost almost all of their animals in a fire. That place was home to more than 250 animals, including lizards, turtles, alligators. And they're still trying to figure out what caused the fire. And a sinkhole just opened up for the third time in a Tampa suburb. It is about 19 feet wide. And in 2013, that very same sinkhole in that same area swallowed a man while he was sleeping. It's since been fenced off for safety. And in Houston, new surveillance video shows the stunning moment an armed man tried to rob a woman, but the key word here is tried. He snuck up on her as she was unloading some stuff from her car, but she refused to cooperate with his demand to hand over her car keys. Unfortunately, he still hasn't been caught. And finding a doctor, making an appointment, getting a prescription, then getting it filled, that was all before today. But getting birth control looks like it's about to get a whole lot easier for women, meaning over the counter. And it seems like a lot of people are on board. Now, last summer, a Kaiser Family Foundation survey found that 77% of women between the ages of 18 and 49 are in favor of birth control pills over the counter. And today, the FDA approved just that, and the bill is called O-Pill, and it's going to be the first hormonal contraceptive pill available in the United States without a prescription. It's expected to hit shelves sometime in early 2024. And the U.S. is going to join over 100 countries where birth control is already available over the counter. And today's decision from the FDA comes just a year after Roe v. Wade was overturned, and the legal battles over women's reproductive rights are more contentious than ever. Joining us now is Chief Medical Officer at Verywell Health and board-certified OBGYN, Dr. Jessica Shepard. Dr. Shepard, thanks so much for being with us. Reading into this, this is not a new formula, right? This was approved back in like 1973 by the FDA. Why did it take so long for us to see an over-the-counter birth control pill?
Now, I think when you think of it, it is revolutionary and something that we've been using for over 50 years. This is things that we prescribe in the office as forms of contraception. Now, notably, you did say this is the first over-the-counter form, but it is only progesterone, which combined birth control pills have estrogen and progestin. So I think the answer to the question really is, why did it take so long? I think that when we look at safety and efficacy is making sure that something that we're going to give over the counter has the safety profile to allow people to, again, go to the convenience store or the pharmacy to be able to take these medications without really having a healthcare provider give them the counseling. So what we have been able to see is this is going to be that formulation that's going to give women access to over-the-counter birth control.
And what would you say to somebody that comes in for some of that counseling and might be wondering, is this as effective as the pill that I've been taking for years here?
Yeah, it absolutely is the same actual formulation. Now, there are some caveats to it as far as making sure you take it the same time every day. Now, we know that human error is usually the likely reason that we see contraception fail. So ensuring that people understand the directions, the instructions. And for those who do have medical history that would suggest maybe some complications or contraindications, that's where we would want them to see their healthcare provider to ensure that they're keeping themselves safe. But again, you saw that over 100 countries have hormonal forms of birth control that are over the counter. So this is, again, something that's not new and much needed, especially in the day and age that we're in when reproductive health is, again, having some type of pushback for autonomy and women and their bodies.
Yeah, and we've seen so much information come out about this pill that has been out for quite some time. Not a lot of information when it comes to how much this is going to cost. Do you have any insight there?
Now, typically when you have newer medications that are going to hit the shelves, it does take some time to figure out what is that cost profile going to look like. Now, obviously, from a healthcare provider standpoint, we would want to see that that cost is not going to be prohibitive for people to be able to access it. But that's what we're going to see over the next few months, because in early 2024, that's when it's going to hit the shelves. So that's something that I'm also waiting to see what that cost will look like. And is that going to be also an additional barrier for women to access over-the-counter birth control?
Dr. Jessica Shepard, thanks so much. And coming up, who brought cocaine into the White House? The Secret Service just wrapped up that investigation, but do not expect any bombshell developments. We're going to tell you what they said that has a lot of people fuming. But first, you got to see this. This is an eerie underwater look at a shipwreck from 1879. Now, this ship, the Satellite, sank in 300 feet to the bottom of Lake Superior. That exact cause of the wreck is still unknown, and she was never seen again. That is until last summer when a film crew discovered that wreck. Now, newspapers back in the day, they described her as one of the most beautiful ships on the Great Lakes, and she's still pretty beautiful. Doesn't look a day over 143. We'll be right back. Hey there, welcome back. Let's get you caught up in 30 seconds. The LA Sheriff's Department has released disturbing video of one of its deputies punching a woman in the face while holding her baby. That case has now been turned over to the FBI. And the union, representing 160,000 actors and performers, voted to strike today, joining writers who have already been picketing for more than 70 days. And people in Vermont are preparing for even more rain after a powerful storm there this week dumped nearly 10 inches of rain, causing all kinds of flash flooding. And it has been nearly a week, or a little bit more than a week, since cocaine was found inside the White House. And today, the Secret Service said they closed the investigation into how it got there. And Kelly O'Donnell has more on what they did and did not find. Take a look.
Tonight, the Secret Service coming up empty. After days of investigation and sophisticated forensic testing, officials cannot identify who left a small baggie of cocaine in a storage cubby used for electronic devices near this West Wing entrance. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy raising doubts.
But if they can't tell us who brought it, what else is happening in the White House they can't tell us about? What else is coming into the White House they can't tell me about? That even concerns me more now.
Lab tests conducted at the FBI crime lab did not develop latent fingerprints, and insufficient DNA was present for investigative comparisons. Officials said they used video and entrance logs to compile a list of more than 500 individuals who had access to the entrance in the days before it was found July 2nd. But without physical or video evidence, officials could not connect the drug to any suspect.
It's a complete failure. I mean, this thing is ridiculous.
The White House said it is reviewing the findings. Democrats acknowledge, despite law enforcement's efforts, the mystery remains.
It seems like it's, at this point, it's just inconclusive.
A mystery a lot of people are going to be talking about for a long time. NBC's Kelly O'Donnell, thanks for that. Now, after the last crypto bubble pop, a lot of people were regretting buying cryptocurrency back in 2022. But for the Department of Homeland Security, it has been a boon in the fight against fentanyl. And our very own Julia Ainsley has an NBC News exclusive.
Katie Wagner is one of tens of thousands of victims of America's fentanyl crisis.
Katie was the life of the party. She was so loved.
Her mom, Lisa, tells us her world was shattered when Katie overdosed in 2021.
I was sentenced to a death sentence that night.
Tonight, the Department of Homeland Security saying this new scanning technology could help some fentanyl shipped through the mail, using AI to detect it.
We are teaching machines how to identify different contraband.
NBC News learning that DHS plans to weed out pill presses used to disguise fentanyl as other drugs and trace cryptocurrency used by Mexican cartels profiting off fentanyl. But those moves won't cut fentanyl off at the source. Most of its ingredients are shipped to Mexico from China.
Will any of the efforts you're announcing today do anything to stop that, or is this just a Band-Aid?
Well, we're hoping that the negotiations that we are commencing with China's representatives will actually create some space for us to address with our Chinese counterparts the scourge of fentanyl.
Fentanyl kills nearly 70,000 Americans a year, and Republicans pin the blame on Biden administration border policies.
President Biden knows why this is happening. It's happening because there's an open southern border.
And for Lisa, these new efforts are all too little too late.
A lot of people like to disregard drug addicts. These people are somebody's loved ones.
Tonight, DHS tells us they've seized more than 1,500 pounds of fentanyl in the last month.
Fascinating report. NBC's Julia Ainsley, thanks so much. Now, last week we told you about a new Alzheimer's drug that has been approved by the FDA, but what does the research really show about its safety and its effectiveness? NBC special anchor Maria Shriver took a closer look.
Some call it a revolution in Alzheimer's treatment.
This gives hope. It's momentous.
For the first time in history, the FDA giving full approval to a drug that targets the underlying causes of Alzheimer's. It's called lecanemab, or the brand name Leqembi. It's a twice-a-month infusion treatment for people in the earliest stages of the disease, suffering from mild cognitive impairment. They make up about 1/3 of all Alzheimer's patients. The drug works by reducing amyloid plaques in the brain, which researchers say may be a root cause of Alzheimer's. In a study of nearly 1,800 people with early Alzheimer's, the drug slowed cognitive decline in patients by 27% over a year and a half. Dr. Joanne Pike is CEO of the Alzheimer's Association.
This is pivotal.
But it also should be cautioned that this is not reversing Alzheimer's. This is not going to slow it down if you're a year or 2 years into your journey, correct?
This is not a cure, correct. And in fact, it slows down progress at the earliest stages for a period of time.
Patient Zell Bachnick says the drug has given him more time with his wife, Gail, before his mind fades away.
Taking this drug has given me a lot of confidence.
Zell's memory had been declining for years. Diagnosed with early Alzheimer's, he joined the study and has been getting lecanemab infusions every 2 weeks for the last 2 years. Since he began treatment, tests show his cognitive abilities haven't declined at all, allowing him at age 89 to continue his active lifestyle.
You may get shocked, but I still ski winter skiing. And I'm looking forward to this winter coming up.
You ski?
Yes, downhill skiing.
But he's not allowed to do double diamonds or moguls anymore.
Lecanemab does come with risks. In the clinical trial, 12% of patients had brain swelling and 17% brain bleeding. Dr. Jason Karlowicz is an Alzheimer's expert at the University of Pennsylvania. Many people hear brain bleed, swelling of the brain, and go like, whoa, not for me. Why would anybody want to do that?
I'm concerned, but I would dampen that immediate fear. These can be detected before they cause harm.
But he says that will require rigorous pre-screening of patients, and once on the drug, close monitoring of them for adverse effects. Experts say lecanemab is not appropriate for anyone in the more advanced stages of Alzheimer's and could be dangerous for those on blood thinners or who carry the APOE4 Alzheimer's gene.
There can be harms to people. In the absence of a skilled practitioner, in the absence of a well-educated patient and family who don't know their APOE genotype, which raises the risk, things could go wrong really bad.
Long-term, the drug's safety and efficacy are still unknown, and it's expensive, around $26,000 a year, though full FDA approval means Medicare will cover it, with some conditions. While it's not a cure, the Bachnicks say the drug gives families like them something they desperately need, a ray of light in the long and dark tunnel of this disease.
It gives people hope that there is life after these diagnoses, that you can move forward.
Hope, but there are always some conditions. Maria, thanks so very much for that report. Now, first, the Colosseum. But another tourist has carved their name into yet another ancient place. This one, a Japanese temple. We're going to explain coming up after the break. Hey there, welcome back. And let's take a quick look around the world in 80 seconds. In Ukraine, for the third night in a row, the capital of Kyiv has been attacked by Russia, and they are using drones to do it. The attacks have killed at least one person, and Ukraine says they shot down several drones and that falling debris might have been the cause of death. And a teenager from Canada carves his initials into an 8th century temple in Japan. Police say it happened last week, and they also say he admitted to killing time when he used his fingernail to carve the letter J and the name Julian into a pillar at the ancient temple, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Now, this comes after a tourist vandalized another UNESCO site last month, the Colosseum of Rome. And why in the world is the price of tomatoes up 300% in India? The answer is extreme weather. Heavy rain and flooding in major tomato-producing areas there have destroyed a lot of crops, and it's creating a real supply and demand problem for a country where tomatoes are essential. And President Biden has made a final stop in Finland before wrapping up his European trip. NBC's Peter Alexander has the details from Helsinki.
Hey, Gadi, good evening to you. President Biden now en route back to Washington after punctuating his trip here in Europe with a stop in Finland, where he welcomed NATO's 31st and its newest member. NATO shares an 830-mile border with Russia and in the past had not taken sides, not joined any alliances, but here, given what it witnessed in Ukraine, felt obliged, felt it was necessary to join this alliance. The president thanking the Finns and also delivering harsh words to Vladimir Putin, saying even as the Ukrainian counteroffensive appears to have stalled and the fighting continues, that Putin has lost this war. He says that Vladimir Putin can't keep it going for years because he says he doesn't have the political and economic capital to be able to do that. President Biden making a series of other headlines, specifically as it related to that former Wagner Group commander Yevgeny Prigozhin, who hasn't been seen since he launched that military rebellion against Vladimir Putin. President Biden saying that he does not know where Prigozhin is right now, but warning that Prigozhin should be careful what he eats, given Putin's past history of targeting those who have tried to take him out as the leader of that country. The president also taking on a Republican senator back at home, Tommy Tuberville, who has blocked hundreds of senior military promotions over a recent policy change by the Pentagon, where the government pays for time off for service members and dependents, as well as the travel costs for those individuals looking to get abortions. Tuberville says that needs Senate approval. The president warning that that holdup is impacting national security. And we've now learned that Tuberville and the Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin spoke late today, but not clear that they came to any agreement. That's the latest from here. Gadi, back to you.
Peter Alexander, thanks so much. And turning now to the UK, Kevin Spacey telling a jury today that he did not sexually assault 4 men, but the prosecution is painting a very different picture. NBC's Ali Arouzi has more from the courthouse in London.
So we're now at the end of the second week of the Kevin Spacey trial, and the prosecution wrapped up their closing arguments yesterday, and today was the turn of the defense to put Kevin Spacey in the witness box. And he showed up in court today looking very confident. He went into the dock, he joked around with the guard, he sat around, he looked around, and he seemed very confident. He was smiling around. When he took the witness stand, he spoke about his time in London, what an Anglophile he is, how much he enjoyed working at the Old Vic. This was Kevin Spacey trying to build a rapport with the jurors and essentially convince them that he's innocent. He was now defending himself against a lot of the allegations that were made against him, and they were very serious allegations. The alleged victims are accusing Kevin Spacey of being a vile sexual predator. They painted a picture of a man who was very, very aggressive in what he was doing with these people, and that it wasn't consensual. But Kevin Spacey's defense was that he had led a very promiscuous life while he was here in London, that he had had many one-night stands, and that they were all consensual. About the other allegations, he simply said that they were not true, that these things just didn't happen. But this is obviously going to go on for a little while longer. The defense is going to carry on presenting this case, and all eyes will continue to be on Kevin Spacey until this trial is over.
Ali Arouzi, thanks so much. And before we go, these horrible summer storms are causing some pretty bad turbulence on flights. But luckily, AI is now being used to help. We're going to explain how. But first, check this out. Scientists discovered a rare group of dinosaur bones at the Dinosaur Park in Laurel, Maryland. And we are talking 115 million years old rare. Now, that historic discovery had bones from a bunch of different species in the same geologic layer, which makes it the first bone bed found in Maryland since 1887. Dinosaur fossils are extremely rare on the East Coast, so I would say this is a pretty dynamic find. We'll be right back. Medtronic, the world's largest medical device company, is under fire in a whistleblower lawsuit that accuses it of prioritizing profits over patients. Now, in an exclusive interview with CNBC, the whistleblower alleges Medtronic sales reps operated a bribery scheme in a veterans hospital, possibly jeopardizing the health of veteran patients and wasting millions in taxpayer dollars. Morgan Brennan has that story.
A small Kansas hospital spent more on medical equipment than some of the country's largest facilities. Hospital staff allegedly bribed with lavish dinners and claims that doctors put unnecessary medical devices in patients' bodies. Tom Schrader is the whistleblower.
Because lives have been hurt for decades. And I would have thought the system would help correct that.
Schrader spent 17 years working in the medical device industry, and now he's filed a whistleblower lawsuit seeking to hold one of the biggest players accountable. The lawsuit says Medtronic and its subsidiaries bribed hospital staff to purchase its devices over those of its competitors and to purchase grossly excessive inventory. Schrader says he discovered the alleged misconduct occurring at the VA while working as a sales manager for Becton Dickinson, a direct competitor to Medtronic.
Anybody who thinks I'm a disgruntled employee just really hasn't read the facts, because when you read the facts, I think it speaks for itself.
At the heart of the lawsuit, veterans treated for peripheral artery disease at the Dole VA. The condition occurs when plaque builds up in the arteries and blocks blood flow to the legs. Some doctors treat this disease with an atherectomy device, which removes buildup in the arteries and restores blood flow. Medtronic is a major manufacturer of these devices.
There's a lot of money tied up in this business.
In its latest annual filing, Medtronic reported sales of nearly $2.4 billion from the segment that includes its peripheral vascular devices. That's almost 8% of the company's sales. Independent from Schroeder's lawsuit, the VA launched its own investigation in 2017 when the Dole VA's new medical director, Rick Ammett, noticed the hospital was purchasing an excessive amount of Medtronic inventory. Ammett, who still works in the VA system, declined an interview, but CNBC obtained his nearly 6-hour video deposition.
I've been running hospitals for 35 years, and this infuriates me.
Why does it infuriate you?
This infuriates me because it feels like the Wild West.
Medical experts say typically 1 to 2 of these devices is used per patient. But a sample of patient data the VA gathered in Kansas shows on average 7 devices used per patient. And one veteran at Dole VA had 33 implanted. Data the VA gathered shows that this hospital was purchasing more devices than some of the VA's largest medical facilities.
Rough estimates early in the analysis showed that our costs were, it looks like $5 million a year more than they should have been in this department alone.
Medtronic records show its sales reps taking the VA staff to expensive dinners.
An order for a dozen oysters at $34, 2 orders of those, filet mignon, 2 orders for $76, and it goes on.
This clearly gives the impression that influence is trying to be asserted.
Schrader says the alleged kickback scheme at the Dole VA wasn't just an instance of a rogue sales rep.
I was an executive with a competing company, so I had a distinct understanding of what's visible to the higher-ups.
Brendan Donnellan, Schrader's attorney for this case, says this is a systemic issue.
These pretty grotesquely large dollar amounts had to have stuck out like a sore thumb, but you can choose to look the other way.
The company declined an on-camera interview. But in a statement to CNBC said the allegations in this case are false, and Medtronic will continue to defend the litigation as it moves ahead. Since 2011, Medtronic and its subsidiaries have paid more than $60 million in settlements related to allegations of kickback schemes and other healthcare fraud claims. The company also said it has cooperated fully with the Department of Justice in past settlements, and when problems were found, took appropriate remedial action.
You can have policies on paper, but unless you put them into practice and unless you change your culture, it's going to keep happening. The individuals who sold to the Dole VA, who paid the bribes, are still working for the company, and they're still selling at other VA hospitals throughout the country.
Medtronic said Schrader has admitted he has no firsthand knowledge about problematic procedures involving its devices. The company also said the doctors who performed these procedures didn't receive additional compensation for the surgeries or for using the devices. In a statement to CNBC, the VA said the hospital's high expenditures were from Medtronic devices. It also said it shut down the hospital unit where these procedures were performed. But so far, it's found no quality of care issues in patients. ProPublica previously reported on Schrader's lawsuit, and in response to its story, Kansas senators urged the VA to contact patients that these procedures may have impacted. In a recent court filing, the VA said 59 veteran patients are having their medical records examined for, quote, possible substandard care issues. I'm Morgan Brennan, CNBC Business News.
Morgan, thanks so much for that important report. Now, we are always talking about the good and the bad when it comes to AI, and this next story takes a look at both. Artificial intelligence is now changing the way we spot and treat medical problems. But even though it could be an amazing tool for doctors, don't expect it to replace your flesh and blood doc anytime soon. An NBC News technology correspondent, Jake Ward, has the explainer.
As artificial intelligence begins to reshape everything from schoolwork to art, it's poised to transform your visit to the doctor, too.
I can attach the smartphone here.
Oh, wow.
And then capture a picture. You can see how...
In Stanford's dermatology clinic, doctors are testing new AI technology that can help spot skin cancer.
In a future iteration of this, it would, in theory, give you back a result pretty quickly?
Exactly, within seconds.
The technology is already in use in the UK, where its maker, Skin Analytics, says it has detected 99% of the cancers it's seen in the last year. In the U.S., it's now awaiting FDA approval. Dr. Roberto Novoa, who is testing the system at Stanford, points out the need for something like this is enormous.
Across the country, there are extremely long wait periods for dermatologists, ranging from 3 months to 6 months, 7 months.
And so, in theory, there is tremendous need for either more dermatologists or, in this case, maybe a technology that helps fill in for the lack of them.
We see thousands of cases in a year, and it's always in the back of my mind, what am I missing?
But Dr. Novoa says it's not clear yet whether we can trust this system in all cases.
I want to see it on a variety of different skin types. We have good evidence showing that these algorithms can underperform in skin of color.
They might miss cancer in a non-white patient.
Exactly.
A work in progress in some clinics, but the rush to work AI into medical care is on. At the Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville, Florida, an AI algorithm analyzes CAT scan images and points doctors to the trouble spots in the brains of stroke victims.
This CAT scan and automated AI technology will show you exactly that map of brain area at risk down to the pixel level.
Dr. David Freeman says it saved time and brain cells for 28-year-old Raymond Rowe, who came in unable to move one side of his body.
What the AI was able to do with the CAT scan information is very rapidly save at least 15 minutes of time, and to equate that, for every minute in stroke, it's 1.9 million neurons lost per minute.
Raymond is now fully recovered thanks to that quick treatment.
I have a lot more appreciation towards them and a lot more trust in technology now, because if you would have told me, if I never had a stroke, you would have told me, we're going to let AI work on you, my answer is like, no.
At Cincinnati Children's Hospital, AI predicts signs of mental crisis in young people. And researchers at the Mayo Clinic use AI to detect early signs of heart failure, using an electrocardiogram on an Apple Watch.
But while AI could make all sorts of medical breakthroughs possible, there's a lot of misinformation you got to watch out for.
ChatGPT often makes things up, even though it sounds like an expert. Even the researchers at the cutting edge of AI technology say it is still a tool, not a replacement for human medical expertise.
I don't see this technology replacing doctors. Really, the great power in this is we're helping augment their abilities naturally to help the patient.
A tool, not a replacement. Jake Ward, thanks so much. Now, turning to the severe weather pattern that we've been stuck in the last couple of weeks, some air carriers are turning to AI to help micro-forecast minute by minute up in the sky, which is cutting down on delays and cancellations at airports. NBC's Tom Costello explains.
The challenge for the nation's airlines, navigating a summer of weather extremes, record heat, rain, tornadoes, lightning, and historic flooding. In St. Pete, Clearwater, 4 people were injured after an Allegiant Air flight hit severe turbulence while on approach.
We have reported several head injuries and 1 possible broken ankle.
Now, artificial intelligence is helping to micro-forecast the weather to the zip code to help airlines cut delays and could soon predict the kind of severe injury-causing turbulence we've seen in recent years.
Attention all radios, 431 LaGuardia has been caught in a ground stop.
The AI program is called Gale. Is my flight going to leave on time from LaGuardia Airport this afternoon? The company is Tomorrow.io.
What we're seeing here is the expected weather forecast for that flight at that exact time over the course of the day.
Gale uses satellites and thousands of other data points, sensors on planes, drones hovering over a zip code. Even connected cars reporting windshield wipers have activated. JetBlue relies on it, even investing in the program.
You're going to head to 23.
Using Gale to shift its operations around extreme weather down to a specific runway, even the exact time to start de-icing planes during the winter. In a business where time is money, JetBlue says this micro-forecasting is already saving it $300,000 every month, $3.7 million in a year.
The rate in which we have canceled flights, the rate in which we've delayed flights associated with weather has improved remarkably just in 1 year's time frame.
Driving the extremes, climate change.
We are facing the greatest challenge, arguably, that our generation is going to see in weather and climate.
A new AI tool to help airlines micro-prepare for the extremes. Tom Costello, NBC News, Boston.
That does it for us tonight. I'm Gadi Schwartz. We'll see you here tomorrow. But until then, stay tuned now.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.